Hey everybody, it's Marc TekStack. I'm going to take 15 minutes to talk a little bit about subscription and renewal management. ARR, recurring revenue, is the most valuable source of revenue for most technology companies, be it software or managed services businesses. And the reality is how companies are managing that revenue in terms of the renewal and being able to track basically how the transactions go down, how you process the transactions is usually entirely manual. There's kind of missteps in the accounting system because most of the origination of the transaction actually comes out of the CRM systems, but the CRM systems usually don't have any capability to manage it. Usually need to kind of have a manual process and a deal desk kind of team to keep track of it, or you have to add some sort of like add-on tool. There's a few out there in the market that'll generate pretty reports and help bridge CRM to accounting. But with TekStack, we bring all of that together. And the origin of good transactions in terms of managing both subscription revenue and the renewal has to come or should come, in our opinion, from the opportunity. Okay. So what I'm going to do is going to start the story from an account that's currently in our pipeline. They're a prospect. They're not yet a customer. And I'm going to, as a rep, close a deal that has some products on the deal, and we'll kind of show you what happens and what kind of information you can track in TekStack. So let's take our sample company today. It's a company called Beta Drive. So I'm going to open up their account record here, and you can see that they are a prospect in the pipeline phase. And the reason why they're in the pipeline phase is because we have an open opportunity with them, but we've never won an opportunity with them before. So here's the opportunity. It's a $90,000 ARR deal with about a $10,000 one-time fee. I'm going to open that opportunity up. Okay, I won't go through the entire opportunity record here. It's pretty standard stuff. We do some neat stuff to help technology companies manage opportunities, manage funnel a little bit easier. Productivity tools as well as tools for forecasting, all that kind of stuff. But for now, I'll just go right to this tab called products and services. So the first step in being able to manage subscription revenue is to really use a CPQ. And with TekStack, our CPQ our price quoting tools built right into the opportunity. So there's no like third party thing you need to worry about. And what you want to allow the seller to do is easily add products. So a lot of organizations don't even have a defined product that they're selling, right? They allow the reps to use write-in products or kind of make up products. That is probably the first step of your trouble, okay? Because what you ideally want to be able to do is tell the seller, hey, this is the price, or this is a product we have, this is a price list, these are the terms that are available. In my past, what we always had is like, sellers are making up a brand new product that doesn't exist, and then you throw it over the fence to services, and they're like, what the heck did we just inherit? It becomes the very beginning of remorse and regret for the customer, right? So the very first step is actually defining your product list. And then once you define the product list, defining the pricing for that product and the terms. Terms refers to how you manage subscriptions. So is it a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? Is it an auto renewal? Is it a renewal that you need to close an opportunity for? As an example, do you bill in advance of the month, in arrear of the month? Is it consumption based, or is it just term price based or user based? The other considerations for invoicing might be, do you invoice them in advance monthly, in arrears monthly, in advance annually? If it's a 3-year deal, is it 3 years up front or 1 year invoicing? That kind of stuff. So you want to be able to define all that. And TekStack lets you do all those types of things. Here I have 3 products. I'll just open up one of these products here. They're all the 2 products that are subscription products are 1 year subscriptions. You can, with TekStack anyways, intermix a 1 year and a 2 year product. All that does is splits the renewal process up, but it kind of could change how you do the invoicing, but we do it at a line item level, not an opportunity level. So here a product's $1,200 a year. That turns into monthly. I could overwrite this 120 monthly to be 120 not 100. I can apply discounts if I wanted to. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. Because this is a 1 year term, the ARR is 54 grand and the total contract value is 54 grand. If I actually selected a 2 year product here, the total contract would be 108 and the ARR is 54. So it's important because we want to know kind of what are you incrementing your ARR run rate by. And if you're selling a 3 year deal, you're not incrementing it by 150 or $162,000. You're incrementing by 54, even though you might be collecting 54 in cash or 162 in cash. That's totally up to the buyer, obviously, or whatever terms you negotiate. On the opportunity line, we're also tracking the product. So you can see it has a description in here already. That description is important because you can generate quotes right from this tool. If I want to look up this product, all I have to do is click this little thing, and a little pop-up tells me all about this product. And we have price lists, so you can have US, CAD, Euro, whatever currency-driven pricing. You might also have government or nonprofit pricing versus commercial pricing within the same currency, right? So you can do all that kind of stuff too. I'm actually specifically using this 1 year subscription price, and you can see it's set up as a subscription. Here's my pricing level. Yeah, $1,200 a term. And you can see here I've got invoicing to start on the close date of the opportunity, and the seller can select various options for invoicing. And then there's always a default option. And then I have the subscription start. So there's a couple options for subscription starts. So, what we always like to recommend is just close the subscription with the opportunity close date, right? So the opportunity is going to close March 12th. That's the subscription start. However, in SaaS, often sellers may negotiate, I'm going to close the deal today. It's, day before the month end, but the customer wisely knows they're just going to sit on the software for the first 30 days, right? So you could defer the start of the subscription to the kickoff date or to the order processing date, because maybe it'll, take a few days to get the order invoice out. So you'll just defer it a few days. You have a bunch of options here. And then you have renewal method. So the renewal method here would be opportunity, but you could also select other options, which I actually don't have available. Do I have available here? Yeah, automatic. So what does that mean? It means that at the end of the 12 month, does the renewal automatically close without notice? Or do we request a signature from the customer? So this is a policy that companies make, right? So you can configure either one. All right, so that's how we set up the product. And we're back to the opportunity. And I'll remind you that this customer is, if we were to look up the customer record again, is a prospect and pipeline. Cool. So what I'm going to do is close the opportunity. And so the behavior you would expect is that the prospect will become a customer. So I can upload a contract here. I won't bother with any of that. The prospect will become a customer is kind of what you would expect, right? So this is what we kind of do. So I'm going to close it as one, and I'll show you what else kind of we do to kind of set up the transaction downstream, and then why we do it all this way. Great, closed it. Congrats. So now it's a read-only record. As a second step, so a lot of times you don't necessarily want the seller to be generating invoices and transactional records like the revenue records or the subscription records, because with our integrations to accounting systems, that will go downstream automatically. So you typically want somebody in a deal desk or accounting function just to have a look-see to make sure everything looks cool. They have the contract terms match the opportunity, all that kind of stuff. Because sometimes sellers can get excited and you want to give them the ability to close the deal, but not necessarily generate what we call an order. So I'm just going to generate. So in our configuration, we separated that, but you could have it happen all in one go. But I think as a best practice, we recommend having somebody in accounting or a deal desk function generate the order. So I'm going to do that right now. This takes a second. What we do in the background here is we've already got a closed opportunity, but we're generating order lines, which are essentially subscription details about the customer. And then we're also generating invoice information for that customer. Okay, so now we have an order. So if I actually close this opportunity and I go back to this account, what we're going to see now is the account becomes a customer, and they move from pipeline to implement. And the reason is you want to be able to throw the project over the fence to the services team. So we have a whole project onboarding capability. So you can generate a new project based on the service they selected on the opportunity. But they're not yet live, right? So it's kind of a key thing we want to track, and I'll show you why that is. If I go to the customer tab here and I go to orders, you can see all order lines. So I have 3 order lines, and I'll just filter that on active subscriptions. And you can see here that I have a couple active subscriptions for ARR totaling 90 grand, with the start date of the 14th and the end date of the 13th in a year. Okay, so that does a few neat things. At any rate, I'll also show you the invoice. So here are the invoices that we generated, and you remember the opportunity was 100 grand. The invoice is only 90, and the reason is that the service line was set up for do not invoice, because you may have services projects that are time and material or milestone driven, where the service team releases the invoice. It's not released at the point of sale. So that's how we had that one configured. So the invoice is generated with just the subscription lines, 90K. And then we can punt that over to QBO or Business Central, Microsoft's accounting system automatically. So that's kind of cool. With Business Central integration, we also send over a bunch of kind of deferral information about the recurring revenue, right? So you can't recognize all revenue up front. So we defer the 90K over 12. And because it's a mid-month, we prorate the first month, last month, and then all that kind of stuff. So that has been kind of generated as well. I could show you that, but I'll actually show it to you in a report in a quick sec. Cool. So that's kind of the transaction. We had a prospect account with an opportunity. We had a product to the opportunity. We closed the opportunity as one. We generated an order that generated subscriptions and an invoice. That's beautiful transaction flow, right? Because kind of what you're replacing there is this like thing that happens in CRM. The opportunity may or may not have accurate values. The seller may or may not be selling real products. The opportunity closes. There's a manual kind of rekey. Usually in the manual world, they're adding subscription revenue into a spreadsheet of some sort, and then rekeying the invoice information. But what's usually missing is like the renewal information. Like, where do you put the renewal information for the customer? So all that kind of stuff is usually manual. We've just automated all of it. Okay. And the advantage of that is twofold. One, I can very quickly see all of my customers. So I have a bunch of customers here, customer since date. So we take that. At the customer level, we have their ARR investment, and then I can compare that to their health. So I've got 16-week customers according to this. Actually, I have a filter on this report, but it's actually a little bit more than that. But these are all my week customers, and you can see very quickly these are all in Expand, so they're all live. Not good. And I don't have a last contact date on any of them. So according to the CRM, there has been no email or phone call communication or meetings with these 16 customers. Probably the only reason we know they're weak is from a poor NPS score. So we have integrated NPS. So there's a bunch of things that could trigger weak score. You do it manually. You can automate it with NPS. We can integrate telemetry information to trigger that, whatever. But here, these are all weak and they had no contact. So as a CS manager, I would kind of be all over this. But again, that's kind of one of the benefits of having all this centralized. The other thing is that we can actually generate renewal opportunities automatically. So great, you closed a bunch of deals. Time to get the renewal. I mean, I worked in organizations where we had 1,000 customers. We had no idea who was coming up for renewal. Every quarter was the same fight. Was the renewal information accurate? Yeah, a few things happening in my system here. Was the renewal information accurate? Did I have all the add-on products from last year? Like generating a renewal could take like a half an hour of paper search. Well, here we do it automatically. So any co-termed deals that you sell through the year will be added to the renewal, and we prorate the invoice automatically, all that kind of stuff. So they're all sitting here ready to be managed. And you should be managing renewals like opportunities, right? It's a process. You reach out, you do a health check, you talk to the customer, not 30 days before the renewal, but maybe 60 days before the renewal. And then you generate the invoice 30 days before. And I've worked in organizations where our renewal strategy was throw the invoice out 60 days in advance and hope for the best. Not good showing. Quite often, or crossing your fingers, hoping for the best, not really the best way to do things. So here, by managing the renewals as opportunities, you can run plays, you can pace the right kind of activity to make sure everything's cool. Now, what do we do with all this information? It's pretty substantial. We've got a lot of great, there are products out there in the market that just do this reporting hooked onto your existing CRM, and they're actually more costly than our entire TekStack solution, right? Which makes no sense to me. And how can they possibly work if your CRM is not configured the right way? How is it possibly going to generate the right transaction information for the reporting? Well, here we've integrated everything, right? So here you have subscription growth. This looks horrible because this is my demo environment and I'm not obviously winning my renewals. But I got a run rate, we got yearly growth, and you can see the growth decline. And then you can see that by product. And then underneath each product, here, I'll just do this one here. So underneath each product, you can see which customers own that product. So in this case, this Agility 365 managed service, 2 customers own it. And you can see that we only started generating, revenue lates. So pretty interesting information. So this is actually shows 2025. That's from the chart above, but this is actually December of 2024. So obviously we closed this deal in December. And yeah. So you got this report, really important. You've got your lifetime value. Normally, again, I have no idea how companies really generate this information. I've been in lots of board meetings where I not made it up, but I did my best to make the presentation material accurate. Impossible, right? Because usually the information's in accounting, it's not in the domain outside of accounting, and so everything's in a spreadsheet, and God knows, right? So here we're able to generate lifetime value, average customer value, no problem. Another really cool report I love is this kind of concept of analyzing subscription revenue. So remember that health conversation we just had, a week, neutral, all that kind of stuff. You can see by month renewals that are coming up that are weak. So I have 300 grand of renewals coming up in March this month that are weak. Might be at risk, right? So I want to drill through to find out more about those renewals. The other cool thing, remember that whole expand versus implement, there was an account stage. So when the deal went over to the services, it went to implement. So what we also do is when the customer goes live, you can either, type in the go live date, or when the project is completed, we create a go live date for the account. That moves them to expand. So this allows you to see how much of my recurring revenue, in this case, almost $15 million of recurring revenue, isn't live yet. Again, at risk, right? If they're not live on the product, they're not getting value from it. Maybe there's enough incentive for them to like continue to get it live. But if I was managing this revenue, I would be very nervous about this revenue. So this is a really cool report. And then you can also see your ARR by product, which is kind of neat. So we have product and product families that we track. And then you can, apply filters and just kind of minimize all that. This is just Power BI, right? We built all the Power BI stuff. Subscription momentum, this is basically deferred revenue each month. And ideally you would turn this into a ledger entry, a general ledger entry. Or if you're using our integration to the Business Central, we do it automatically. But this is where that kind of breaking down that $120,000 a year subscription into $10,000 a month, overall the number of customers, prorating the first and last day of the month, all that kind of stuff. This is where all that happens. Really key metrics are all these kind of net retention, gross retention conversations. Very difficult to calculate, right? Because gross retention is, basically what we've always known as retention. It's how much of your recurring revenue was renewed off existing contracts. And that number needs ideally to be over 90, right? This is 84. And then net retention is, okay, of the customers that are sticking around, how much more did you sell them, right? Ideally, this number wants to be north of 110. And that combines gross retention, right? So you can make up for churn or gross retention. Churn is the count of customers, but you can make up for the gross retention with selling back into the base. And so you usually want this number to be over 110. So this number is a little low. This number is really, really high. Overall, good, right? And then of course we have customer count. How many times I've seen customers, they have no idea how many customers they own or they have. CRM's wrong, because normally in CRM, you close a prospect, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't change the relationship of that account. It doesn't make them a customer. So you don't have that information in CRM. Maybe it's in accounting, hopefully, but maybe not. So having that information accurate and seeing the change over time becomes really, really relevant. So that's how we manage subscription and renewal. We think it's really important for software companies to do it right. One question we get is, can you just, can I keep my CRM and do this in the background? Yeah, I guess so. You can run this as like a black box in, in your deal desk team for sure. We could take from Salesforce, for example, the closed opportunities, take the products, create opportunities in our system, transact them, drive the reports. So there's no intrusion with the sellers. They don't have to change off anything. Then, does it really help your CS team? And does it really help your sellers who are going back to sell more stuff to the customer? That's the only downfall of doing that. Typically, our customers who are using this are using us for CRM as well. So that's it. Hope there's value there. Have a great day.